Let's take a look at how we make meaning from literature. We are going to develop a shared vocabulary and a set of perspectives that can help us as we read literature. But before I get to that point, I want to clear up some misconceptions. Some people, but probably not you, believe that literature is boring and has no real tangible value. Many other people, especially students who had an English class in high school, think that literature is full of hidden meanings, or that a text has a single correct meaning, a meaning that somehow English teachers know and the rest of us do not know. I hope as we study literature this semester, you will agree with me that these beliefs are mistaken. I also hope that we can approach literature with an open, curious mind, and maybe even with joy. The first thing to understand is that every reading experience is a kind of event. It involves an idea or subject, and a writer who puts it into words, and a reader who forms an interpretation at a certain time in a specific place and under unique circumstances. Without a reader, a text has no intrinsic meaning. It is just a compilation of words arranged in a pattern. Yes, the writer is significant, but she does not determine the meaning. The text is independent of the writer. The reader makes the meaning based on the cues and signals given in a text. The meaning that a text has for us as readers is affected by our schema, our cognitive framework, our point of view, our experiences, and our biases. This schema shapes how we organize and interpret what is in the text. For instance, today Gulliver's Travels is often enjoyed as a charming children's book, but in the 1700s, when it was written, it was understood as a satire of British society. An important thing you probably realize about literature is that it requires interpretation. Why is that the case? Because much of the meaning is implicit rather than explicit. For contrast, consider an instruction manual. The goal is a set of clear, easily followed instructions. The writer intends the meaning to be explicit. Another good example is a news article, which sets out to inform the reader of facts. The reader is not supposed to read between the lines. Literary texts usually rely on implicit meaning, for which you as a reader have to do some interpretive work. You have to use the evidence of the text to infer meaning. You have to put the pieces together. Some texts require more interpretation than others. Often, it is requiring that we make inferences in order to figure out exactly what is happening. Inference is a conclusion about the unknown based on the known, a conclusion about the unknown that we reach through evidence and reasoning. For example, if I see a woman pushing a baby stroller and she has a diaper bag on her shoulder, I infer that there is actually a baby in that stroller based on the cues I get from viewing that scenario. People don't usually push empty baby strollers around. However, there have been a number of occasions lately when my inference was wrong because there was a little dog in the stroller. So literature requires us to make inferences. In fact, stories in whatever form regularly require us to infer meaning based on the presented details. If we watch a movie and in the first scene we see a character take off his wedding ring and throw it into the sea, we know something bad has happened with or to his spouse. Did his spouse cheat on him? Did his spouse die? Maybe there are other pieces of evidence that we must examine, like his facial expression or body language, that might help us interpret why he is doing what he is doing. Another aspect of literature that allows us to make meaning is genre. Genre is the name we use to describe the categories that have developed over time for what we read, what we watch, and what we listen to. Genre is a term frequently used to define the set of elements that we expect to find repeatedly in similar kinds of movies, books, plays, poems, etc. One genre we will study this semester is apocalyptic literature. A defining element of apocalyptic literature is the collapse of civilization due to some event, natural or human caused. So we expect that such literature will be centered around some kind of disaster. I think that's enough vocabulary for us to get started.